Remember all that talk about a $5,000 Doge Dividend Check?
Yeah.
Well, behind the scenes, things are getting a lot more interesting than just a payout.
It really is fascinating to see how all this political strategy comes into play when we're talking about huge financial decisions that could impact millions of people.
Yeah, before we get into the nitty-gritty, if you're finding this kind of insider information useful, hitting that subscribe button really helps us keep digging up these stories for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, to really understand what's happening, we need to go back to the original proposal.
Okay.
The Doge dividend was designed to generate $2 trillion in savings.
$2 trillion. Okay, so let's unpack that $2 trillion.
Yeah.
The initial plan was to take a big chunk of that 20%, to be exact.
Right.
And distribute it directly to around 79 million U.S. households.
That's right. And 20% of $2 trillion is a whopping $400 billion.
Wow.
We're talking about checks of around $5,000.
Now, that kind of direct cash infusion would certainly make headlines.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also attracting attention from a group known as deficit hawks.
Yes. The deficit hawks are basically a group of policymakers and economists who are very concerned about the U.S. national debt.
Okay.
They argue that adding another $400 billion in spending, even if it's from savings, could worsen our already precarious financial situation.
So essentially they're saying, hold on, we're trillions of dollars in debt already.
Yeah.
Now is not the time to be throwing around billions, even if we have it.
Exactly. And their concerns are sparking some serious debate behind closed doors, trying to find a solution that satisfies everyone.
So tell me, what are some of the alternative plans being floated around in these backroom discussions?
Well, one idea gaining traction is to redirect some of that 20% earmarked for the Doge dividend towards other programs.
Good.
For example, there's been talk of boosting the child tax credit from $2,000 to $3,000 per child.
Now, that's a proposal that could have a major impact on millions of families.
Absolutely.
Especially those struggling to make ends meet.
Absolutely. And it highlights the key question at the heart of this debate.
Okay.
Is it better to give a large sum of money directly to individuals?
Right.
Or would that money be more impactful if invested in programs that provide broader long-term benefits?
It's a tough question.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
For sure.
And if you're finding this discussion insightful, don't forget to give us a like.
Okay. It's a tough question. And it gets even more complicated when you factor in another idea being tossed around. Allocating 5% of those savings towards Social Security.
Oh, so Social Security is facing some serious long-term challenges due to an aging population and other demographic shifts.
I see.
Many experts argue that reforming and strengthening Social Security is crucial for ensuring its solvency for future generations.
So let's do the math here. If 5% goes to Social Security and we're potentially shifting some funds to the child tax credit, how much is actually left for the Doge dividend?
Well, based on these discussions, we're looking at potentially shrinking the Doge dividend allocation down to 15%.
15. So that would mean those $5,000 checks would shrink considerably.
Yes. Under this scenario, the individual checks would likely be closer to $1,250.
Wow.
Still a significant sum.
Yeah.
But a far cry from the initial proposal.
Yeah. Definitely a big difference.
Yeah.
For sure.
This situation really underscores the complexities of government finances and the tough choices that have to be made.
It's like a giant balancing act, trying to weigh the immediate needs of individuals against long-term investments in the country's future.
Exactly. And the Doge dividend debate brings all those factors into sharp focus. Do you prioritize putting money directly into people's pockets right now?
Right.
Or do you use it to strengthen programs that could have a wider impact over time?
So where do we go from here? Is the Doge dividend doomed? Or is there still a chance those checks could land in mailboxes across the country?
Well, it's far from a done deal. There's a lot of political maneuvering happening behind the scenes as lawmakers try to find a compromise
I bet.
that satisfies both the deficit hawks and those who support the original Doge dividend plan.
It sounds like a lot of negotiation and persuasion will be needed to get everyone on board.
Absolutely. It's important to remember that any plan for the Doge dividend ultimately needs approval from Congress.
Right.
The president can propose, but Congress disposes, as they say.
So the real battleground is in Congress, with the deficit hawks likely holding a lot of sway in these discussions.
That's right. They have significant influence, especially when it comes to fiscal matters. Their concerns about the national debt carry weight, and they're not likely to back down easily.
It seems like the president will need to build some serious alliances and make a compelling case to win over those skepticals of the Doge dividend.
He'll need to address their concerns directly, while also highlighting the potential benefits of the Doge dividend, both for individuals and for the overall economy. It's a delicate balancing act.
This whole situation really highlights the interconnectedness of politics and economics. It's a real-world lesson in how those two forces constantly interact and shape each other.
It's a fascinating case study in how political ideology and economic realities clash and sometimes converge. The outcome of this debate will have far-reaching implications, not just for the Doge dividend itself, but for the broader economic landscape.
So what should we be watching for as this story unfolds? What are the key factors that could tip the scales one way or the other?
One crucial aspect to keep an eye on is how much bipartisan support the president can garner. Can he bridge the divide between those who prioritize deficit reduction and those who champion direct aid to individuals? That will be a key indicator of whether the Doge dividend has a chance of survival.
Because ultimately, he needs Congress to sign off on any plan. Without their approval, the Doge dividend in any form is unlikely to become a reality.
Exactly. Congressional approval is essential. The president can advocate for the Doge dividend, but ultimately it's up to Congress to pass the necessary legislation. So building consensus and finding common ground will be crucial.
It's a classic political dilemma, trying to find that sweet spot where everyone feels heard and their concerns are addressed.
And the outcome will tell us a lot about the priorities of this administration and the direction of economic policy in the coming years. It's a high-stakes game with potentially huge implications for the country.
This whole situation reminds us that government finances and economic decisions are rarely straightforward. There are always trade-offs to consider, different perspectives to weigh, and no easy answers.
That's right. It's a constant process of balancing competing interests and making difficult choices with sometimes unpredictable consequences. And the Doge dividend debate is a prime example of that complexity in action.
It really underscores that we all have a stake in these decisions. Whether it's the Doge dividend or any other economic policy. Staying informed and understanding the potential impacts is crucial.
Absolutely. These discussions impact everyone, and being engaged in the conversation is vital for a healthy democracy.
So for our listeners who are following this Doge dividend saga, what's the key takeaway? What should they be paying attention to as this story continues to unfold?
I think the big takeaway here is that the Doge dividend, initially presented as a straightforward cash payout, has evolved into something much bigger. It's become a focal point for broader discussions about government spending, the role of social programs, and how we balance the needs of individuals with the long-term health of the economy.
It's like a microcosm of the larger economic challenges facing the nation. This one policy decision has opened up a Pandora's box of complex questions.
Precisely. And the outcome of these discussions will likely have a ripple effect across the entire economy, influencing everything from individual spending habits to the strength of our social safety nets.
So this is definitely a story worth following closely.
Without a doubt. The decisions made in the coming weeks and months regarding the Doge dividend will provide valuable insights into the priorities of this administration and the direction of economic policy in the years to come.
It reminds us that even when we're talking about something as seemingly simple as a cash payout, there's always more to the story. The world of economics and politics is rarely black and white.
And that complexity is what makes it so fascinating to explore. There's always something new to learn, another layer to uncover.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our look into the Doge dividend debate. But we don't want the conversation to end here. What are your thoughts on this issue? Do you think the focus should be on direct cash payments or on bolstering social programs? Share your opinions in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you found this discussion insightful, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of the topics shaping our world.
Until next time, keep asking questions and stay engaged.